Having to squeeze in the bus every morning, long queues everywhere, it's actually not too hard to feel like Singapore is way too crowded. With a population density of about 8,300 people per square kilometer, that's actually not too far from the truth. But even then, even though Singapore is relatively small, our landmass has been growing through land reclamation in response to this population growth. And there's also been a lot of efforts with regards to urban planning to make places feel less crowded and more livable. Even so, do Singaporeans still feel like this island is too crowded? Let's find out.
I think Singapore's current population is about 6 million.
Overpopulated.
Very overpopulated.
Yeah, I feel like it's always crowding.
I feel that currently Singapore is overcrowded. Like BTOs, like I heard from many of my relatives that it's hard to get the numbers.
I feel like as a foodie, you don't get a lot of places where there's like empty seats. So you obviously have to find somewhere else. And like shopping malls get a little bit too crowded and you're like, okay, maybe I'm not gonna go there anymore.
It's in the public transport system where MRT is always crowded. I think it used to be during peak period, but now it's like 90% of the time.
Honestly, I feel like it's just the central area because at my neighborhood, I wouldn't even know if it's even crowded because I don't really see much people around my neighborhood. So I feel like it's only the central area.
I think it's gotten more crowded, but not just our like local population, because like a lot of foreigners have come into Singapore. So when there's too many people in the country, like sometimes like living can feel a bit too like rushed. Because like since there's a lot of people, then like you tend to like not try not to socialize as much if you're in a smaller community.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of problems because you have to upgrade the infrastructure as well. Like for example, like the transport systems, there's gonna be a lot more people, and then like it'll be harder to maintain also. So which causes like a lot of troubles like congestion, like at escalators, at lifts, like tapping out even.
I think we should still have a growing population, but the only problem is about like housing, having enough housing to like accommodate for like the more growing population.
Yes, because it brings in business, but also no for locals because it just turns us off.
Growing population for us hopefully means we can get more opportunities for more jobs. But we kind of need to slow down a little bit so that we could enjoy Singapore more with the small space that we have.
I think, in terms of our generation, Singaporeans, yes, maybe, because a lot of our generations are all the elderly now.
Like, I feel like living costs will go up because there's too many people. Then, like, sometimes people like migrate overseas because maybe it's cheaper.
If everyone is just like around the same age, so means there's a lot more like older people, then there won't be much younger manpower, which something we desperately need because like too much of the older generation would cause a lot of problems in the long run.
I don't think there's any problems with us growing in numbers at least, because that just means that we at least have could be more people that also become localized. I would much rather we have more people coming in than to have not enough .
So we've heard from the people. Now let's go talk to Dr. Woo Jin Jie from the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy to find out how Singapore plans for a larger population. So I'm here today with Dr. Woo Jin Jie. So our topic today, we're going to be talking about population, specifically overpopulation. So how can you tell when a city is overpopulated?
A city becomes overpopulated when the number of citizens they have in a city can no longer be sustained by the infrastructure, the services that the city provides, which could include housing, transport, utilities, for example.
So is Singapore overpopulated?
No, I would say that we are far from overpopulated. Homelessness rate is very low in Singapore. Most people have access to housing, public housing, and affordable public housing. In public transport, yes, like most cities, we do get a little bit crowded during peak periods. But like you said, we're not being shoved onto the train like in Japan, nor are we clinging onto the sides of the train as it moves along. So we're not facing those issues. So we are quite far from overpopulation.
There is, though, a sense from a lot of Singaporeans or people living in Singapore that things are getting really crowded. Is there sort of distinction between the idea of overpopulation and overcrowding in a country?
Well, there is some distinction. Overpopulation has to do with how many people there are in a city and whether the city can sustain them. Now, crowdedness is not simply a phenomenon of number of people and in a given space. It's also a matter of perception. Now, we all have different standards of how crowded we like a place to be or like a place not to be. And to ask the question of whether a city is crowded may not be entirely fair. We should ask questions of when is the city crowded and where is it crowded? I think in general, when we walk around our neighborhoods, our malls, we are not crowded to the point where we have no space to get into these spaces or to make meaningful use of these spaces. So in Singapore, we plan our towns in such a way that there are enough amenities, there are enough schools, supermarkets, malls within that town so that the residents have access to these things. So it is very deliberate. And when you think of Singapore, it's not just one island, but clusters of small towns that form Singapore.
I remember a few years back, Liu Tai-ke talked about the need to plan for Singapore to have 10 million inhabitants. And there was a huge public uproar in response to that.
I think when Professor Liu was talking about that, he was coming at it from a very technical perspective. As an urban planner, as an architect, yes, you can house a certain number of people, technically, in any plot of land. But as a social scientist and a public policy person, I would say that we have to do this gradually, or we have to do this to find the right balance. The balance may not be 10 million, that balance may not even be 7 million. We honestly don't know at this point. We are at this point where the economy is growing well, population is aging, but there's also all these technological factors that's disrupting parts of our economy. So the question of how many workers do we need in the economy, we can't say for sure at this inflection point. But what is important is that even as Singapore grows, we grow in tandem with public expectations, with public perceptions of crowdedness and comfort, and we develop the city to provide the comfort first before we grow, which is what I think the URA has been doing quite well over the past decade or two. For urban planning, it's important to plan for comfort. This is the reason why we don't feel that overcrowdedness that you might feel in Tokyo or in London or New York. So planning ahead helps to manage our population dynamics, whether the population is growing or not, at what pace it is growing. It is important that we plan the infrastructure, the housing, the public transport in such a way that we always have more than what we need at this point in time.
Why does Singapore need to keep growing its population? Why do we always need more people here?
First of all, Singapore as a start had a very small population, and compounded to the fact is that we have an aging population. We do need people to sustain the economy. The elderly do need access to social welfare, to medical services, which is funded by the state as well. So from a purely economics perspective, we do need a population that can sustain itself. That means that as it gets older and older, we do need more young people as well. We're not saying that we need to grow indefinitely, but we need to find a balance where the economy, the workforce, can sustain the rest of the non-working population. And there's a second factor here. Even if we don't want to grow the population rapidly, inevitably, Singapore is a really attractive place for people to come and work and live. And people are coming, and we can't put a gate at the door and say, no, all of you are not coming here. I think it will be detrimental for Singapore if we are no longer attractive to anyone, whether businesses or population, and we have a shrinking population. I think that would be the opposite direction of where we want to go as an economy.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wu. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks for coming to the Lee Kuan Yew School.
So I can't help but feel that the solution to overpopulation and crowding in Singapore is for everyone to get more days to work from home. But seriously, I have to say that I think, especially compared to a lot of the countries in the region, we're doing pretty well with regards to urban planning and design so that we can make the place feel more livable even though there are more people. And I do think that as long as the population increase is gradual rather than a sudden burst, we should be okay for now.